To our webinar on Unified Champion Schools. Hopefully you guys are all doing good during these crazy times. We just wanted to go over quickly just kind of the basics of what Unified Champion Schools are. I know we have a lot of new schools in Chicago Public Schools and East St. Louis and a few other areas around the state. So we're just gonna go over some basic information. I was gonna have the Unified Champion Schools Special Olympics team introduce themselves. I am Melissa Garitano, so I am in Region D with Chicago and Chicago Public Schools. So I am the contact for this area and looking forward to doing a lot more things. I know we were like on a really good roll with a lot of you guys starting and then COVID had to interrupt, but hopefully things will be back on track for next school year. So I will introduce Jen and Jillian so they can talk a little bit about themselves too, and then we can kind of get started.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jen Kelso, and I'm the Director of Youth Initiatives for Special Olympics Illinois. And so my job is to just kind of help do all of our unified school programming across the state. While our whole state, we focus on early childhood all the way through college and kind of even beyond. My focus areas that I really spend a lot of time on are the older students, our high school and college age students. And I really do a lot with the Illinois High School Association, our competitive events with them. And then as well, I work a lot on our youth leadership programming. And so those are the kind of the main things that I spend a lot of my time focused on.
Hi everyone, my name is Jillian Hostany. I am the Assistant Director of Youth Initiatives with Special Olympics Illinois. Like Jen, I work statewide with unified programming, youth leadership, etc. But my main focus is middle school, elementary school, and early childhood pre-K. I work with the regions on their young athletes events and offer the statewide opportunities for young athletes as well. So a lot of my focus is on the younger group of students.
Okay, so we are going to go through, it's not a very long PowerPoint. We have some information and then we actually have someone that's going to talk about how Unified Champion Schools has affected their school district for the better. So the first thing we are going to talk about, and we are going to record all of this too. It's being recorded, and then we'll send out the link just so if you have to get off or you get distracted or anything, we will send the link when we're done with this along with our contact information. So Unified Champion Schools, there's 3 categories of the Unified Champion School. A lot of people mistake it as just sports if you do traditional Special Olympics, but there's actually more than just the sports component. There's 3 categories: unified sports, youth leadership, and whole school awareness. So there's actually a lot of things you can do within your own school walls. It's not just like a bunch of field trips and sporting events, which I think confused a lot of people, at least in Chicago. I know they thought it was a lot of similar to traditional programming, but there's a lot you can do within your school walls. The first component is the unified sports. So this is celebrating people of all abilities. Unified sports puts athletes on the same team as your students that do not have intellectual disabilities. So your regular education students are your unified partners, and they play side by side on competitive sports teams with your Special Olympics athletes. Your Special Olympics athletes complete their medicals similar to the traditional at MedFest, or getting their medical form filled out by their doctor. That's good for 2 years. And the unified partners complete, similar to what we complete as coaches, the Class A form. Under 18 does not have to do the background check, but once those unified partners complete that, it's good for a couple of years too, similar to what we do. So the unified sports mission is just to promote athleticism and social inclusion through sports. So it's giving our athletes the opportunity to be sports players and teammates with their counterparts in school.
Melissa, I'll jump in and just
Okay.
say that at the various levels, there's various opportunities. And so, you know, we talked a little bit about young athletes, and we'll talk a little bit more about young athletes later on in the presentation, but that's really the unified sport option that we offer at the elementary school level. And so for those that are pre-K or first, second grade-ish, those are, the young athletes program is really what's best. In middle school, we do have a partnership that Jillian works on with the Illinois Elementary School Association, and we offer competitive unified bowling through that. Next year, we're looking at doing regional events and then qualification to the state event. As well, there's specific to middle school, there's unified basketball and unified soccer and unified track that are specific to middle school age. High school age, we have a partnership with the Illinois High School Association, and students can participate in through IHSA, which means they would receive IHSA awards, unified bass fishing, unified dance, and unified basketball are the three sports in which we partner with IHSA. However, for all ages, we have a lot of other opportunities. We did start unified track for middle school and high school 2 years ago, so that's an option in the spring. Unified soccer is a fall sport. And then in addition, just non-school age only, but open to everyone, are things like unified bocce, unified tennis, unified golf, unified volleyball, unified flag football. So there are a lot of options for participation within unified sports. So there's pretty much something for almost everyone.
Thanks, Jen. So unified sports is the first category. The second category is Unified Champion Schools Youth Leadership. So this is, it's kind of having your staff, you as a staff member, kind of allow the students to take the lead on planning things in your school. So this, your youth leadership team is your Special Olympics athletes and your unified partners working together to plan different opportunities within your different activities within your school. The leadership helps with the students finding their voices, teaching them to become the agents. Every school typically has a respect component that we're going to go into when we talk about the whole school approach. And this, Jen, Jillian, you guys have anything else to add on this? This is more also, I should say, not everyone is into sports, right? So you could have your student council or your National Honor Society or kids that want to be a part of planning stuff, but just don't actually want to be out on the court. This is their time to shine and work together in the youth leadership component.
I think the other thing with youth leadership is that we have a variety of different ways that students can be involved through youth leadership. So it could be at your school. You could have just a club that maybe you open it up and specifically target individuals with intellectual disabilities to participate and that's at the very basic level. And we've had schools start like lunch buddy programs or after school club unifies, things like that, to be able to offer that. We have schools that create their own individualized youth activation committee, which is, you know, a leadership team of students to help put on unified activities within the school. And so, you know, there's a lot of schools across the state that have gone that route. We have some regional events. We have one-day youth leadership summits that next year will run in the fall and in the spring for students to participate in. You know, they're just one day where we bring them together, educate a little bit and activate youth from your schools. We do have a statewide youth activation summit that is an overnight experience that typically happens in November. And then we do allow schools to bring 6 students to that. 3 students with special needs and 3 unified partners. And we pay for all of the expenses, the hotel and meals and stuff for schools to come and participate. You just need to be able to get yourself there and back. So, you know, depending on what level you'd like to have, you know, your students start at, there's definitely opportunities to grow and to continue that youth leadership for them.
And just to kind of tag on, a lot of what we're talking about with the youth summits and stuff like that is focused at a middle school and high school age. But there are youth leadership pieces that can be integrated into a pre-K or an elementary school. So if that's something you're looking for more information on, please don't hesitate to contact me. We have a lot of schools that do some really great things with their young athletes groups or peer leaders, or creating just different councils. And it's a little bit more difficult at the elementary, early childhood age, but it's possible. So I would love to chat with you about that if you're interested.
Okay, and then the third component is the whole school involvement. So this is starting a respect pep rally or a respect week. We have a lot of awesome ideas that schools have done around the state, which we could share with you guys on what. This is just kind of getting everyone involved. It builds and expands the volunteer model, so it's engaging everyone. So you have a team, your youth leadership team can plan a pep rally. You can have a in-house unified basketball tournament. You can also have your unified partners serve as coaches. So for schools, you could plan a unified sports day, a track and field day within your school, and have your youth leadership team plan the day. They can serve as the peer coaches, or they can be as the partners on the team. Student councils, other leadership clubs, if you start like a best buddies club, like Jen said, and then it's just kind of getting it out there, like respect posters all around the school. We have, if you sign on, we have a respect store where you get different t-shirts and posters and lanyards to just to kind of get the whole school involved and aware of inclusion.
The idea behind whole school engagement is that, and why there's 3 different components to Unified Champion Schools in general is that you have your athletes, right? You have your student athletes, and they're going to participate in sport, and they're going to love that, and that's going to be their unified experience. But some people don't go beyond that. And then you have your group of leaders, and that's their thing, right? That was me in high school. I played sports, wasn't so good, but the leadership thing, that's where I excelled. And so, that you have a group of students, but then you have all those other students at school. So, the kids that might not be an athlete or might not be a leader, but we want everyone to have that inclusive experience. And so that's why offering some type of whole school engagement activity is going to be beneficial for the school. And it just helps to create more of a unified experience. And so, having a pack the stands night, or even if you have like a pledge drive in your lunchroom during lunch for respect. Melissa talked about, the materials you get. As an official Unified Champion school, every school gets $200 worth of free materials. Coach Kelly, who's talking a little later in the webinar, is sporting her Rally for Respect shirt from this year's campaign. So, there's a lot of different resources that we have that we can help provide you with, to be able to touch kind of all those other students, in the school that might not have had a unified experience prior to this.
Thanks, Jen. So requirements to engage, we have, and I think that you all have signed on or have gotten it, and we will resend the information. There's a school commitment form that's online. So that just, that's how you become an official Unified Champion school. You would be the committed advisor, pick a few other people that you think would be interested in helping. Like I said, this is also, I know, like I was in CPS for 10 years, so I know that it sounds scary to add another component to everything that teachers have to do. But it's, like I said, once you find a few good students, you have these students that are dedicated and are the ones that want to be the leaders, and you are just kind of sitting there guiding them and supporting them. So there is a monthly calendar and a numbers report to fill out. The numbers report just lets us know how many athletes and partners are involved. It doesn't take more than, Jillian can talk about that in a second, how long it takes. It's nothing, it's not a lot of extra time. The annual evaluation, and then your principal's approval is part of it too. On the commitment form, you'll see that you fill out online, just so your principal knows that you guys are being a part of this, which a lot of them love the idea as soon as they hear it. And then there are outreach opportunities. In addition to getting $200 worth of respect materials, we have an outreach grant opportunities. You can fill out as many as you want. Maybe Coach Kelly can talk a little bit about that later too. Your students, your leadership team can do it, and that fill out any ideas that they have. We've granted a lot of schools with new uniforms, new equipment for the sports. A lot of students had ideas to sell stuff during lunch or to kind of promote inclusion and getting to know one another. So those outreach opportunities were awesome. It was really exciting to see all of the cool things that schools have gotten to help their unified programs get up and running. So
we allocate about $40,000 or so on an annual basis for our schools to be able to start new programming. Kind of the concept behind those outreach opportunities is that your school budgets are done and they've been done for a while, right? So adding something new is not necessarily always going to happen. And so those outreach opportunities, what that does is it allows you to start something new, and then we help try to cover the cost. The one thing it doesn't pay for is staff. So an advisor for the club or an advisor for the activity that you guys would be doing, or paying a coach stipend or anything, it does not cover that. But it does cover, like I said, like Melissa mentioned, equipment or uniforms. We've had schools do a unified cooking club after school, or paint a unified mural, or do a unified scavenger hunt, or add to their Respect Week. And so those are all fun things that schools might not have been able to do prior to, receiving those funds. We do typically have applications come in the fall for completion of the activity in the spring. So that's something to know. Not this current year, but last year we did have extra funds. And so we ran a second round of them for anybody who wanted to do anything last minute in the spring. But just in your planning purposes, if you're looking for some extra funds to do something new, plan that you would ask for it in the fall and you would do that activity in the spring.
A lot of the new Chicago public schools that I've worked with, we have about 25 signed on. A lot of them got new uniforms, and they were able to use them for unified basketball, and then unified track, which we had planned to have, but that was pretty cool too, with the Play Unified logo on it. So it's just not like your old uniforms lying around, or like they really felt like they were an awesome team. They picked their colors, they picked their team names, that kind of stuff, like the unified partners and the athletes. So that was really cool to see too. So just another thought.
And just to dive in really briefly about the numbers report and the annual evaluation. Our program is partially federally funded with a very large grant that we receive to offer these opportunities nationwide, or statewide, excuse me. And in order to keep that funding coming, in order to qualify for the grant application for the next year that we're currently filling out for next school year, we ask our schools to complete numbers reports. And these numbers reports really just pull together the data of what is going on in your school. How many students are doing unified sports? How many students are in your youth leadership? How many students are you engaging on a whole school engagement basis? The numbers reports take about 5 minutes, and many times when teachers have questions, they contact any of the three of us and we walk them through it. And again, 10 minutes, and we can help you in any way you need. We don't ask you to sit with a clicker at an all-school assembly and count every single student that walks through. We ask for a rough estimation, just telling us what's going on. And that's the due dates for those are in January and May. So end of first semester, end of second semester. And then we have our annual evaluation that is sent out every April from University of Massachusetts. And that one is a nationwide evaluation of the program services that you are receiving for Unified Champion Schools. That survey is a little bit lengthier, but it can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 35 minutes, depending on how lengthy you are in your responses. Again, that does go towards, the response rate on those does go towards our qualifications for our federal grant. So we do ask that you help us with that. And in return, we are able to give you all of these free resources, like the respect materials, like physical manual resources and also outreach opportunities. Melissa, you're muted. Give me 1 second.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So like we had said, the requirements to engage the 3 categories of Unified Champion schools. The first year that you sign on, it's pretty minimal because obviously it's new and, you know, we don't want to overwhelm you. So the first year you sign on, which would be this 2021 school year, you have to hit one unified sports event. So that's required. So you could attend a unified basketball, unified track. We can talk about young athletes too and what that is. So one unified sports event is required. That could even be your leadership team plans a unified sports day for within your school.
Melissa, there's other things that we didn't even mention. We have unified fitness programming. That's an option that people can participate in as well as a lot of schools just offer unified physical education and meet that at the minimum level by offering a unified PE class. And we have a full curriculum for schools if they're interested in adding that. And then unified fitness, like I said, is newer to us in Illinois, but we are really looking to grow our unified fitness programming. It could be done during PE class. It could be done as a club or an outside school activity. So we have schools kind of implementing it at all different levels. So those are all options that could help you meet that unified sports requirement. So it's not a heavy ask in adding something completely brand new, like saying you have to go compete in basketball or you have to go compete in this.
Right. So you would have one from that, and then you would choose one from youth leadership or one from whole school awareness. So another simple thing is if you have the whole school awareness, then you plan a respect pep rally and have posters around and something simple like that to start off for your first year. So you can obviously do more. I feel like a lot of our schools end up doing more because they really get involved and the students really like it. You can really see a change in the climate once you are doing unified events throughout the school. But the minimum is, one from unified sports and then pick one from youth leadership or whole school awareness. That's the link to the commitment letter online too, which we will send to you guys. I think most of you have signed on anyways, but we'll resend that too. And then, like Jen said, there's no cost to your school to participate. There's options for grants and options to promote in your school. There's a lot of free resources online. Like Jen said, we have a whole curriculum on the unified PE, and there's just a ton of information that we can send you. And then, like we had talked about, the outreach opportunities. Those are those grants that you can get up to $1,500 per grant, and there's no limit on how many grants you can write. That is all of our social media links. They're pretty active right now too. I know that you guys are all e-learning too. So there's a lot of cool links. There's a few different partnerships that Special Olympics has had. We did there's just a lot of Unified Champion partners that have talked and came on since we are all finding virtual our new way of working right now. So we'll send you all that information too. And we don't have to watch the video. That was just a video that one of the videos of, like I said, Unified Champion Schools is not just only in Illinois, but it's all over. So there's a lot of good videos too that we can send in case you wanted to share with your students to check it out. They can get some ideas. We'll send you guys some of those.
I'll add in that part of what Jillian does is Jillian manages all of our communication to our teachers throughout the state. And so she works to create a newsletter that happens monthly. And so I would definitely pay attention to that newsletter as it comes out. A larger newsletter happens on the 15th, around the 15th of the month. And then she does what do you call it, notes and newsworthy the second time throughout the month with just some highlights and tips for you guys. But one of the things that she does in that newsletter is she likes to highlight schools. And so if you are doing something awesome, please make sure that you're sending that information into us, because we love to highlight our schools and the awesome things they're doing. Secondly, she always puts a resource in that newsletter. So whether it's a hard copy, like a link to a PDF file that could be used as a resource, or a video that might have come out, she's always including resources in that newsletter as opportunities for you to see some kind of the new things that are happening around the state and even around the country.
So then to wrap it up, we have Kelly O'Reilly. She's the program specialist for Community Consolidated School District 54. So their schools are really active. So we had just asked her to kind of come on, talk a little bit about what they've done. And then we can go from there.
Okay, hi everyone. So yeah, I have kind of a unique position in my district in that my entire job is Special Olympics and Unified Champion Schools. So we have 28 district buildings in our district, and I am in probably 21 of them between young athletes, Club Unified Champion Schools activities. So I just wanted to kind of talk briefly today about what we do in the different levels, because we are a pre-K to 8 district. So we have an entire early learning center that has about 8 kids usually by the end, 800 kids by the end of the year. And we run a young athletes program with them full-time over the course of the year, hitting each kid at least once a month throughout the entire year. We also, they run a Respect Week too. So that's where Jillian kind of alluded to activities that young athletes and early childhood centers could do. It is absolutely possible. Sorry, I'm glaring at my dog right now. She's not behaving. So it is possible, absolutely, to have Unified Champion Schools activities in an early childhood center. What it looks like for us at the elementary level, we do have Club Unify in a large chunk of our schools. And for that, we have athletes who are at least 8 years of age or older, so that they're able to participate in traditional Special Olympics at that time. And then our partners usually start in 4th grade. That we do have some schools, because of lunch schedules and everything, that do have some 3rd graders as unified partners. But they meet upwards of 20 hours total over the course of the year at the elementary school and at the junior high. At the elementary school, it tends to look more like just activities that they can do on their own, whether it or together as partners, whether it be sport activities, craft activities, simple community service projects that they can do. We've had schools do door decorating contests across the building. We've had, I'm trying to think. We've had Club Unify's organize food drives for their school, different things like that. And then also at the elementary level, we do young athletes as well. We have IC programs in, oh gosh, I don't even know how many of our buildings at this point. So every school that has an IC program, so any sort of self-contained, whether that be ID, ASD, or even our emotional program, we have young athletes for any of the primary level classrooms. So that's K, 1, 2, and sometimes 3rd graders if they fall into that age range. So we do just like in the early childhood center, we usually push into their PE class. So it's kind of more of a natural transition for them during the course of their day. And then I have a full-time program assistant, and one of the 2 of us is in their PE classes about once a month doing the young athletes curriculum with them as well. And then, let's see, I'm trying to think. We do a district-wide unified sports day typically at the end of the year, where we bring all of our Club Unifies all together, which is one of the highlights of our year, but unfortunately it's not going to happen this year. But that's everything that's going on right now. But then at the junior high, we don't obviously have young athletes at the junior high level, but we do have Club Unify in all but one of our junior highs across the district, works out really well because we have a lot of kids leaving elementary school wanting to continue in Club Unify. And so because we are in all of our junior highs now, they do have an opportunity to do that. When they hit the junior high level, it turns more to kind of the unified sports goals. They tend to have a little bit more access with gyms and to be able to practice for some of those things. We also provide them the opportunities to participate in unified basketball and unified bowling, as well as training throughout the year for our unified sports day, which we offer soccer, basketball, and bocce for that day as well. Most of our junior highs actually also participate in going to the Youth Activation Summit every year. So that's a great opportunity. We get a lot of great feedback from the staff that go, as well as the students really wanting to go. And what actually I've been seeing is I've been getting emails from 8th graders, especially now that we've been told we're not going back to school this year, wanting to know what they can do next year when they get to high school. So that's really exciting to see these kids who have kind of grown up going through the Young Athletes program in our elementary schools, into Club Unify in elementary and in middle school, really wanting to kind of continue the Unified Champion Schools message into their high school. So Jen, or Melissa, is there anything else you wanted me to talk about?
No, I think that that's awesome. Thanks, Kelly. There's a national banner program that we offer, which you know, I guess you can kind of compare it. I hate to compare it to anything, but you can kind of compare it to like what, you know, when a school applies for like a blue ribbon status or something like that, like the honor and the achievement. There are 2 schools in School District 54, 2 of the junior highs currently have national banner status. And there's 10 standards that you need to meet. If you are a school that has been doing Unified Champion Schools for a while, it might be worth your time to, you know, set up a time to talk with Jillian or Melissa or I, and we can help get you to the point that you can apply for national banner status. Patty Heineman, I'm looking at you right now. So, you know, if that's something that you're interested in doing, we can, you know, kind of help you in planning to get to that point, to get that award. It is a national award, and so it goes through several different levels of approval. It starts with your application, it goes through a statewide approval plan, and then it goes through a national approval. And then schools are selected based on that. So we have been lucky to have 8 schools thus far achieve national banner status in Illinois, and we're definitely looking for schools to continue to do that. And then, you know, while I'm on that topic, Melissa, I'm going to steal your thunder, and I'm going to just introduce Michelle Dwyer, who is the next teacher that's going to talk a little bit. And we wanted you guys to have different levels. So Kelly has pre-K, she has elementary and middle school that she works with. And then Michelle is from Maine South High School, who was one of our newest national banner schools. So Michelle, can you just talk a little bit about like what you guys do at school?
Okay, hi, I'm Michelle Dwyer. I'm a special ed teacher at Maine South High School in Park Ridge. We started off with the grant. That was very important to us to apply for the grant. And our first thing was getting soccer equipment. So we had a whole nice, beautiful bag delivered to us, bag full of all the equipment, goals. And so we started with our unified soccer. So from there, I think that we personally have excelled a lot more in the leadership area and with our after school club. So, or in school, after school. One of the simple things we do is we have passing period pals, where our students will sign up to walk with other students in the hallway. It's just a 5-minute commitment. So they do get out of their class a little bit early. So we have hallway passes. They get out and they meet their student. It gives the opportunity for some friendship and communication in the halls where some might not get that with some gen ed peers. We have kids from the varsity basketball team, football team, hockey team, cheerleaders, theater. I mean, like we have the gamut of individuals that come, that walk with our students during the hall. So I think that's a simple thing to do. We also do the lunch buddies where we have the lunch table and people would sign up to come sit with us on certain times. So that's been something that is kind of, I think the passing period puzzle is actually not that easy. It takes a little bit because you have to go through everybody's schedule. But once organized, it's a phenomenal program. We do after school simple things that anybody else would do, like your ice cream social, board game. It has grown so much that our students do their own hangouts now. So sometimes staff is invited and then sometimes staff is not invited, and they make a Saturday night or a Saturday afternoon eat at Panera, and they like block off an area where they sit, and then parents are welcome to be over there if they have to be to get to know the staff or the kids. No staff, no staff. So it's grown a lot in those ways. The thing I put in the chat was that you guys might want to consider unified dance as another program to start. That's not a lot of time. Not a lot of time because you can hopefully do it within your unified PE class or and see how that, if you can get the gen ed peers in there with them. We did it after school the first year, and then last year we did it within school. So obviously our time as the sponsor of this program, I can't do everything outside of school. So finding ways to do that. I know that some of our other schools have the opportunity to practice during some of their life skills blocks or PE classes as well, because we have like PE leaders in them. So having a unified PE class counts as some of that too. We of course have a respect week, which we do fill out. We do fill out grants for that as well to come up with our different activities that we've done. We do a banner signing. We do karaoke in the CAF, which is a huge hit. We do a photo booth. Sorry, everything's skipping me. We also take with the pledge card, something that I think is pretty cool is we have the students sign individual ones. I make small individual ones, and then we tape them up and they spell respect in our hallway. So we have like this glass window, so it's pretty dramatic, and that's where a lot of people walk by and get to see it. I don't know. I think those are some of the easier things to start with, and just like, it doesn't have to be big and grand and huge, and one thing at a time. And you'll see how the kids will really buy in, and the kids will come up with, at some point, the kids will come up with ideas and you'll have to say no, like we can't keep doing that. So the kids will definitely generate all the ideas, and that's where that leadership stuff and going to the activation committee conference is a great thing for kids.
Just to kind of jump on, yeah, at the middle school and high school level, we have some great engagement from the students. And one of the things that we really strive with our ELN, our Education Leaders Network, and the advisors of those students is, let them be the voice, but be the guide, because you can't have like a horse walking through your hallway for your respect campaign. But there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of maneuver their, guide their thought process. Thank you very much, Michelle and Kelly. You guys are awesome. And that was some great sharing. I did notice, and thank you, Melissa, for pointing it out. We've been talking about our Young Athletes program, but we haven't like defined it. And so I'm just really briefly going to say our Young Athletes program is a motor skill sport play program for ages 2 to 7. And it prepares young athletes for sport competition with Special Olympics Illinois. And it is unified, so it's peer partners and young athletes, and it's stations like jumping, kicking, striking, balance, throwing, things like that. And a lot of what is entailed in our young athletes program is what's going on in a pre-K early childhood physical education class. So it's really easy to accommodate. It's really easy to slide right into curriculum and to work with your PE teachers or your pre-K groups, like Kelly was saying, to integrate. So it is something that we do offer. It's a lot of fun, and the kiddos have a blast. And it's a great way to show kids at a really young age that whether you have a disability or not, you can learn the same skill side by side.
Awesome, thanks. And we have, there's quite a bit of young athlete programs around the state too. So that's a popular one. So that was about it. If there's anything that you guys wanted to, if there's any questions, you can go ahead and unmute or type them into the chat section. I also wanted to say we will send, like I had said, the not really a problem, but I noticed that it took a while to get unified partners, the peer partners, to complete their Class A forms for coaches. So to be the unified on the teams or student coaches. So if you wanted to do something now, we have some videos and you could always share with your students, and then the link to the Class A, so they could get that started. They could complete it now, and then when the school year kicks off, they'd already be in the system as peer partners ready to go for anything. I know Jen had said unified soccer is a fall sport, so that's going to kick off when we get back to school. So something for maybe your anyone that's interested in anything. Doesn't have to be the sports, like we said, it could be the youth leadership or just the whole school. If you wanted to send them their link to get them rolling now, give them something to look forward to, start planning for next year. We can send that information to you guys too.
Hey, Jillian, I'm looking through some questions in the chat, and one of them is, with the Young Athletes program, do instructors come out and work with the students? And can you expand on how that partnership looks, please?
Absolutely. So unfortunately, we don't have the manpower to send staff out to help instruct, but we do have resources. So we've got already pre-made activity guides. We've got letters that you can send home to explain what you're doing with your kids. You know, I know that there's a lot of different schools that'll send out little note cards or things that tell their parents what they did today. And so that's one thing that's already pre-typed. You do this activity, there's a letter that goes home with it saying, hey, this is what we did in class today. Schools that sign on as a Young Athletes school do receive a kit, an equipment kit from Special Olympics Illinois. And then there's a training on how to utilize that kit, how to do some of the activities. We break things down for you in a way that explains to anybody, any teacher in the school that's going to be working young athletes, how to be successful with young athletes. And alongside with that, we do also host a culminating event. So there's paperwork, obviously, that's filled out saying, yes, I approve my child can do young athletes, peer partner athlete or young athlete is defined in that paperwork. And then we come out and we help with the culminating event, which is a kind of a big show where all the stations are set up and the kids go through the stations in various groups. They can get awards, they can get, you know, there's a little water break station and we help with that. But the actual training, we come in advance and train the educators on how to utilize the equipment and how to run the program and what it looks like. And then we kind of take a step back and we help where needed and we assist with the culminating event and the running of that.
And then just going off that, adding, in Chicago, there is our partnership with the Chicago Park District. There were a few instructors that came around and kind of helped and guided. We have about 25 schools that do young athletes. So they had stopped by to the schools that kind of needed assistance based off the schedule. So it wasn't a guarantee, but once you get, like Jillian said, when you get the equipment kit and you get the book, it's pretty easy for you to navigate through. And we've heard from teachers, it's been easy, and we're there for support in the beginning and at the culminating event.
Another question that we got is, where do you find the grant information and when do grants need to be submitted? While I'm talking, Jillian, can you switch your screen and just bring up the Special Olympics Illinois website?
Yeah.
On the Special Olympics Illinois website, if you guys do not know this yet, there is a section called Athletes and Families. So as Jillian's bringing it up, it's soill.org. And in the Athletes and Families tab, there is a section under that says Unified Champion Schools. So as you see Athletes and Families and you drop down to Unified Champion Schools, this is a good resource for you. This has Illinois specific information. As you scroll down, this is where the application, I should say, would be. Right now, we're not in the process of taking any applications, so there's not a live link on here. But a lot of resources are always going to be on this page for you. So if you're ever looking for something specifically, this is where the form is for the school commitment letter. This is where you can find a permission slip. This is where you can submit your school numbers. There's information about the different sports that we have going on. There's always in the supporting documents a lot of different resources available for you. If you scroll up a little bit right now, the active link is we are currently accepting applications for our statewide youth activation committee. So for Special Olympics athletes and unified partners from across the state, we are asking for them to, if they're interested, to apply being on the committee. We do accept 40 pairs of students across the state from middle school, high school, and college levels to participate in our statewide youth activation committee. And so that's what the live link is right now. But that right there, instead of saying youth activation committee, it would say apply for an outreach opportunity, and it would have that information. And outreach opportunities go live on October 1st every year. And then you typically need to complete them whatever the day is before Thanksgiving. So that's when we close it up, so that, and then we typically go through them and make approvals the first week in December, so that you know going into the holiday break if you've received an application and how, or an outreach opportunity, and how much it's for. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that page. Some other good resources are specialolympics.org has a whole resource page as well. And so Generation Unified is another one. That's another one that you can really point your students to. And so this has all of the unified information and unified generation stuff. There's videos, there's challenges, there's just information about it. So a couple of good links for you to just kind of keep in mind as you're looking for some other resources out there.
Just to kind of jump back to the Special Olympics Illinois page, we have a lot of great things. This is our home base for anything we ask of you guys. So the school commitment form is right here. The Youth Activation Committee application is right here. We tend to post and update some different things on this page as they become available, information about all the 3 components, and then the school numbers report. This one is a regular question as to where it's housed, and any newsletter that goes out, any mailing that goes out reminding teachers to complete has the link to it. But just in case, if you ever need it, it is right here on this homepage, along with any permission slips and the other information you need under supporting documents.
Are there any other
Jillian?
questions? We have nothing else in the chat box, Melissa.
Okay.
We don't, but Kelly had her hand raised. So Kelly, if you want to jump on.
Well, it was back when we were talking about young athletes, and every new agency that signs on for young athletes gets a kit. Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, you used to be able to apply for an outreach grant to get an additional kit as well if you need to up your supplies if you have a larger group. So that's one thing that our Early Childhood Center has done, is they have done an outreach grant in order to get an entirely new set or additional set, so that if there are running larger groups, they have those materials.
Yes, thank you, Kelly, for expanding on that.
If I can also add that if there's someone on this call that is a newer school that doesn't necessarily have, that needs something, or you know that come fall, you're going to start something, and you know that now, that going into fall, you're going to start an activity, I would ask you to reach out to us right away, because we've had some things, we have some funding, we have a pool of funding that was allocated to events and opportunities this spring that obviously we're not going to use. So I don't need to purchase track and field medals for a track and field meet that didn't happen. And so we do have some funding that is available. So if you know come fall you want to start unified soccer, we might have that funding now to be able to help you, and you don't have to wait for that. And so if that's something that you are interested in, or whatever it might be, or I should also add, if there's something that you're looking to do currently right now during this school year or throughout the next couple of months, because school is canceled and you need assistance to do something virtually, or a resource or some funding to be able to run this activity, or whatever it might be, let us know that as well, because we do have some of the, we do have, like I said, some of those resources available right now due to some of our events being canceled. And we're just looking at for ways to be able to help support our schools with that funding. That's all I had. Unless there's any other questions that we can help you guys answer. I just wanted to thank you all for taking the time to sit in today. We're very appreciative of you learning more, and just want to make sure that you realize that we're here to help. We're not here to add more to you. Melissa, Jillian, and I spend ways on thinking about what we can do to make your lives a little bit easier. So feel free to reach out if anything that we can do to help that.
So yeah, we can we'll send this out in case you wanted to pass it on to anyone else. We have like the commitment letter and everything. Like we said, a bunch of resources. So hopefully we don't bombard you. If there's anything else specific that you need to ask or need, just let us know. We'll be happy to send it to you. And looking forward, we'll try to plan some more of these every now and then to keep us all connected. And yep, so feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening, and everyone stay safe and well out there.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Jillian.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to let